Well, let's get back to mathematics. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about inequalities. Okay, let me have the topic written. We're going to be talking about inequalities. Well, inequalities simply compose two unequal values. Okay, yeah. Like we can have male and female, we can have big and small. So, in this first video, I'm going to take you some steps on basic rules on inequalities. To begin with, we're going to talk about the number line, okay? Well, let me have the number line drawn here. As you move from left to right, the numbers increases. That is when you add 0. And as you move from right to left, we have -1 and -4. Okay? Well, as we said, inequalities are used to compare two unequal values. So let's begin with two values which we are going to take. Let's just take 8 and 3. Okay? Well, from knowledge of integers, you can clearly see that 8 is bigger than 3. Okay, for now, we're not going to use the number line. Let me just talk about some basic rules of inequalities. Then we're going to make use of the number line to talk about one of the rules. And we're going to use the number line to represent our inequalities. So yeah, 8 is greater than 3, and this is the greater than sign. Now, if it was 3, which was on the left side, it would have been this value. 3, it would have been like this, 3, less than 8. Okay, now, you need to know something. When you add any value, be it 2, be it 5, so we'll just say A. If you add any value on both sides, it won't change anything about the equality sign, will not change. We're still going to have 8 plus 2, for example, is going to be greater than 3 plus 2, which is 10 greater than 5. And it's clearly visible that 10 is greater than 5. Okay, guys? Well, now, the second rule, if you multiply any value, so far as it is positive, okay, on both sides of, that is either on left and right, the equal sign C won't change. I just have, for example, 8 times 4 less than 3 times, greater than 3 times 4. 8 times 4 is going to be 32, greater than 12. Well, you see that the difference has just increased by a very big value. Well, when you have these values here, let's just have a look at the number line here. When you multiply, as you said, when we move from left to right, the values increases. Okay, so when you're multiplying by 4, which is a positive value, you still keep on moving toward the right side by a factor of 4. So the numbers will be also increased. Now, what about the other rules? Now, what if you multiplied by a negative value? Or you divided by a negative value? Now, see what's going to happen. Okay? Let's just say we have a 2 here, less than 1. And you multiply both sides by -1. Did you just see what happened? Here we have a -2, and here we have a -1. Now, I would like you to take a look at the number line. Okay? Now, this value here 2 and this is 1. When you multiply by -1, we have these values here. And you clearly see that -2, since we move from left to right, we move from smaller to bigger values. So you see that when we have -2, it's smaller than -1. So you multiply by negative value or divide by negative value. So in case of this 8 here and a 4, we multiply by -half, or we end up having -4. And this, by the way, I said the sign changes and another change the sign. In this case here, it's no longer -4. It can no longer be greater than -2, so it becomes less than. So we have -4 less than -2. Okay, that is it for the rules which I want to tell you about. Now let's go to the number line. Now this value here can be greater than. Here we'll be working with greater than values and less than values. We can also introduce something like, let's just say 2 greater than or equals to 2. But yeah, now when we are representing greater than or equals to, we use greater than or less than, greater than or equals to values. We use closed circles to represent them. And since we said 2 is greater than or equals to 2, in this case, we're going to move from the left to right. Okay, So yeah, 2 greater than or equals to. Now what if it was 3 greater than 2? In this case, we use open circles. So when you're talking about greater than or less than values, you use open circles. And when you're talking about greater than or equals to, that is same as less than or equals to, in this case we use closed circles. Okay, in the next video we're going to start solving inequalities. And please, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel so we can grow our community. And please consider giving me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.